wonder, this year's wonder.
It was one of the topics which came under scrutiny.
10-ton giant is airborne.
It was front page news.
From the scene of Britain's worst train disaster.
Had she fallen, she was expected to be able to fly 8 weeks ago when he was a soldier in Germany. He met Priscilla Beaulieu.
Looks with eager interest as the body flies near New Orleans.
We are all part of history. Wherever we are and whatever we're doing, world events shape our memories. And for most of the 20th century, those events were filmed and explained by Pathe. Pathe News captured history in motion, creating a living chronicle of a turbulent century. 1954 was a year in which colonial power took a battering. In Indochina, France suffered at the hands of the Viet Minh, a force of communist rebels led by Ho Chi Minh that had set itself the task of ridding the area now known as North Vietnam of its colonial masters. There had been conflict between the French and the rebels since 1946. The French had managed to contain Ho Chi Minh's forces, but a decisive battle always seemed inevitable. That battle came during 1954. At Dien Bien Phu, the French dug themselves in for a last-ditch stand. The rebels attacked and a murderous siege began. The United States watched helplessly as the French resistance started to crack. They had thought of entering the war on the French side, but could find little support for action amongst other world powers. The United States had just fought a costly war in Korea for little gain, and so feelings were opposed to further military commitment against the emergent communist forces of Southeast Asia. May of 1954 saw the fall of Dien Bien Phu. By July, the French had signed a treaty with the rebels which officially divided the country into North and South Vietnam. France decided that it had to withdraw from its colonies with honor. In Algeria, riots signaled more trouble overseas for the French. France braced itself for more difficult years. Britain, too, had its fair share of colonial worries. After the independence of India, the mood of the British nation seemed to be in favor of a gradual withdrawal from the empire. Those living under colonial rule wanted independence at a faster pace. In Kenya, the Mau Mau, led by Jomo Kenyatta, had terrorized the white community for 2 years. Britain's patience finally ran out, and an offensive saw the Mau Mau's reign of terror come to an end. But the British government resolved to set the process of independence in motion. Within 10 years, Kenyatta was to become president. In Egypt, Colonel Nasser had come to the fore. He undermined the power of President Naguib and engineered an agreement between Britain and Egypt on the future of British forces in the country and around the Suez Canal zone. Nasser's power was threatened briefly when fundamental Muslims tried to assassinate him. He survived and lived to cause problems for the British in 1956 when he sparked off the Suez Crisis. In America, Senator Joe McCarthy's career of purging the country of supposed communists came to a sordid end, and the Senate condemned him for conduct unbecoming to his status. The climate of fear created by McCarthy's witch hunts cooled, but many people's lives had been scarred.
At Waitangi, Her Majesty is challenged by a chieftain who lays a stick representing the sea god at her feet. The crowd swarms forward as the royal visitors walk behind the chieftain to the site where 113 years ago the Maoris ceded their land to Queen Victoria. Now, in welcome to Queen Elizabeth, ritual chants are sung by wives and daughters of Maori chiefs. To salute the Queen, the menfolk perform a fierce war dance. Mrs. Dwight Eisenhower arrives at Groton, Connecticut to launch the world's first atomic submarine. With the traditional bottle of champagne, the revolutionary new craft is christened Nautilus. Built at a cost of about £19 million, the 300-foot sub can circle the globe without surfacing. Torpedoes for the submarine can be mounted with atomic warheads. America claims that new electronic devices will enable the Nautilus to operate at depths that would crush any normal sub, and that powered by a few ounces of uranium, she can outstrip any other submarine in the world. Gliding through Sydney Heads, the sleek white liner Gothic brings Her Majesty the Queen and the Duke of Edinburgh to the threshold of Australia. Thousands line the grey cliffs bathed in hot sunshine. From the bridge of the liner, the Queen looks down upon a scene of welcome more spectacular and perhaps more excited than any that has greeted her throughout her long journey across the world. The Queen, who wears a white organza patterned gold and cream dress, is saluted by bosun's pipes as she leaves Gothic to journey ashore by launch. Hundreds of yachts and launches line the 2-mile route along which the royal couple make their way to the landing stage at Farm Cove. Thousands of flags and pennants flutter in the stiff northwesterly breeze, forming a dazzling, colourful avenue of welcome. Arriving at the landing stage, Her Majesty is welcomed to Australia by Sir William Slim, the Governor-General, the Governor of New South Wales, and the Prime Minister, Mr. Menzies. Now, in an open car, the Queen and her husband prepare to make a 9-mile-long drive through the streets of Sydney. About half of the 3 million people who cheered the royal couple slept on the pavements all night for a glimpse of this historic scene. The royal car moves at about 10 miles an hour, for if it were to travel more slowly, the engine would overheat, so great is the temperature in the city. Finally, Her Majesty and Prince Philip arrive at Government House. The royal tour of the great dominion of Australia begins in triumph.
Police hurry to America's House of Representatives in Washington following an attack by 3 Puerto Ricans, including Rafael Miranda, who fired on the senators in the chamber. Fellow gunman Andres Condero and the woman member of the trio Lolita Lebron are hustled away from the menacing crowd. Firing more than 20 rounds from their Luger automatics, the 3 fanatics seriously wounded 5 senators. Ambulances are rushed to the Capitol, along with doctors from a nearby naval hospital. Alvin Bentley, wounded near the heart and in the stomach, is carried out while police push our cameraman aside. Bentley's condition is still reported as critical. Clifford Davis, a Democrat leader, was wounded in the right leg. In the excitement, a doorkeeper, William Belcher, suffered a heart attack. Republican Ben Jensen received several severe wounds in the back. Many other congressmen escaped death by inches in the chamber. And Representative Halleck shows where a bullet ripped into his desk. Another round splintered the back of a congressman's chair. Representative Van Zandt, who helped capture one of the gunmen, points out where a bullet smashed through a chair seat after wounding one of the congressmen. Police demonstrate how a Luger was hidden in Lolita Lebron's handbag when she entered the visitors' gallery before the attack. The other assailants' guns are held as evidence. At police headquarters, reporters learn that a 4th member of the team, Irving Flores, has been arrested. Another Puerto Rican has since been accused of threatening to kill President Eisenhower. Still defiant and still unrepentant, Mrs. Lebron and her partners made the attack to draw attention to Puerto Rico's demands for complete independence. Now all 3 assailants are awaiting trial for attempted murder.
Sir Winston Churchill and Foreign Secretary Anthony Eden arrive at Matt's Terminal in Washington. Hundreds have gathered to wish them well during their stay in the capital. First to greet the Prime Minister is Mr. Richard Nixon, the Vice President. Dozens of cameramen record the famous V sign as, in summer sunshine, the Premier drives along the crowded route to the White House, where the big two and their foreign ministers will hold their talks. President and Mrs. Eisenhower move forward to welcome Sir Winston, and the two great wartime leaders meet again. We now know that the Prime Minister's visit to Washington has been a personal triumph. Agreement has been reached on many vital points during the talks, described in an official statement as friendly and fruitful conversations. As the guns are silenced throughout Indochina, the exchange of prisoners of war begins. Under protection of the Red Cross, French and Vietnam troops, many captured at Dien Bien Phu, are taken aboard ships of the French Navy. After their 56-day siege in the fortress, these men were taken prisoner and forced to walk for weeks to camps in the north. The troops, most of whom serve with the Foreign Legion, are all in very poor health. The first exchange involved 100 men from each side. These are Viet Minh. They exchange their clothes with their former enemies, following an ancient custom. But for the civilian population, the misery is not yet over. The thousands who fled their homes have nowhere to live. But social workers have been organized in the towns to keep them fed. Helpings are meager, but no child goes without its milk every day. The plight of the thousands of refugees is a major problem. The war has ended, but its victims still suffer.
Meeting pressmen from all over the world at the Officers' Club in Cairo is Major Salah Salem, the dancing major, who is Egypt's Minister of National Guidance. On the roof of the club, about 100 reporters and cameramen are gathered to question Salem and his Prime Minister, Colonel Abdel Nasser. President Naguib, whose power has been greatly weakened by Nasser, is not even present. Questions put by the press are mainly on the Anglo-Egyptian talks about the Canal Zone problem, but the two leaders avoid entering into any controversy on the subject. Salem, Egypt's propaganda chief, and Nasser prefer to relate the progress of Egypt since Farouk was tumbled from his throne. Nasser heads his country's delegation at the Canal Zone talks, and it is he who presides at the final meeting with Britain's representatives. At long last, agreement has been reached, and Mr. Head, Britain's Secretary for War, initials the document. The main clause of the agreement states that all our troops will have left Egypt within 20 months and may only return if Egypt, any other Arab state, or Turkey is attacked. This agreement will last for 7 years. These terms have created some indignation in Britain. Nevertheless, after a tense debate, the government secured approval for their actions. The pact has put Colonel Nasser in an even more powerful position, although apparently he draws the line at idolatry by his followers.
Brussels, where Monsieur Mendes France and Dr. Adenauer, West German Chancellor, shake hands, although failing to reconcile their differences on European defense. France's Prime Minister is off to England for talks with Sir Winston Churchill on the same subject. At Biggin Hill RAF Airfield, Sir Winston, who had driven over from Chartwell 7 miles away, is there to greet France's man of destiny. Indeed, two men of destiny who now meet for the first time. Mr. Eden, who was on holiday in Austria, arrives in an RAF letter sent to Klagenfurt to fetch him. He was accompanied by Mrs. Eden, but little formality attended his arrival, for almost immediately he set out for Chartwell, where he was due for lunch with the two Prime Ministers. Mr. France, to give him his newly earned title, hopes to get from Sir Winston what he failed to get at the Brussels meeting of the European Defence Community, namely support for his ideas. With his successful tactics in the Indochina War still fresh in public memory, Monsieur Mendes France has received a setback. With a 3-day debate to come in the National Assembly on the European Army scheme and on France's policy in Europe, for him the outcome of the talks is a vital issue. The The Suez Canal, for long the troubled centre of the Middle East, is soon to see the end of British military occupation. Talks between British and Egyptian authorities have been going on for many months. But now at the Pharaonic Hall of the Egyptian Parliament, they reach their climax. Colonel Nasser, the Egyptian Prime Minister, and Mr. Nutting, the British Minister of State, attend the signing of an agreement on the canal base. Major Salem, the dancing major, puts his signature to the document, which creates wild rejoicing in the streets of the capital. There are shouts of congratulation for the Prime Minister, who acknowledges them from the balcony. There is no sign of President Naguib, whose power has been greatly weakened by Nasser, Egypt's present strongman. Under the agreement just signed, 40,000 British troops will be withdrawn within a year. The remaining 35,000 will have left by June 1956. However, in the event of an attack upon Turkey or an Arab state, British troops may return. Because of this clause, the present Suez Canal base will be kept in efficient working order. A further clause gives British civilians the right to maintain installations. Already, British troops have begun the evacuation. Their leaving closes a chapter of British history. It was a chapter that started in hope. Now the somber ending is written. Her Majesty's aircraft carrier Centaur is at Trieste to aid in the evacuation of 3,000 British troops from the port. These men, who include the 2nd Battalion Lancashire Fusiliers and the 1st Battalion the Loyals, are leaving following the recent four-power agreement on the division of the territory between Italy and Yugoslavia. British and American troops under the command of Major General Sir John Winterton have guarded the city for 9 years. About 300,000 people from Italy have come to Trieste to welcome the first Italian troops into the city. 5,000 soldiers are greeted with almost frenzied enthusiasm as they move in at a given signal. Italy, however, has not won all her demands, and a small strip of territory that was in dispute has been handed to Yugoslavia. Under the new agreement, Italy has undertaken to maintain Trieste as a free port. At last, after many tense years of wrangling, the division of Trieste has been agreed. The patience and impartiality of the British troops during their stay has contributed greatly to the final peaceful outcome. General Naguib, one-time strongman of Egypt, leaves Abdin Palace, having been relieved of the presidency. 9 months ago, Naguib, the man who led the revolt against Farouk, lost this same post when his rival Colonel Nasser came to power. But with the aid of army officers, Naguib became president again. This time, he seems to be deposed for good. Meanwhile, Mahmoud Abdel Latif is on trial for the attempted murder of Colonel Nasser. He is a member of the Muslim Brotherhood, whose Cairo headquarters were burned down by angry mobs. Naguib is said to have been in league with the Brotherhood, who aimed to overthrow Nasser. Other Brotherhood members are held in police custody. This young student, it is claimed, failed to fire at Colonel Nasser when so ordered by the Brotherhood. These men, say Cairo reports, intended to assassinate all Nasser's colleagues and then, together with Naguib, take over the country's leadership. Today, the stock of Colonel Nasser stands higher than ever before. His daring arrest of Naguib has established him yet more firmly in power. General Naguib, however, will not stand trial. His future has yet to be decided.
Britain saw the end of rationing in 1954. At last, the queues and meagre rations were a thing of the past. The general economic environment had improved, and Britain actually enjoyed a trade surplus. The Conservative government had done little to undermine Labour's radical restructuring of the British state, which it had carried out during the late 40s. In fact, economic policy seemed to differ little between Chancellor Rab Butler and his Labour shadow Hugh Gaitskell. Critics characterised the consensus on policy as being bust-collite. Winston Churchill had returned to good health after his stroke during 1953, but his interest in foreign affairs, especially superpower politics, left much of the day-to-day running of the country to Rab Butler and the cabinet. Britain was proud of the fact that it was at the forefront of technological change. 1954 saw a growing interest in the use of atomic power for peaceful means, and Pathe kept the public well informed.
The football pitch takes the overflow as 120,000 pack Wembley Stadium. From all over Britain, people have come to the final meeting of Billy Graham's Greater London Crusade. Archbishop of Canterbury is with Dr. Graham. Many distinguished personalities, including Mr. Horbelisha, are present.
Thousands are turning to God and are finding peace, security, happiness, and joy in this age of uncertainty and confusion.
As the massed choirs sing a version of the Lord's Prayer, hundreds come forward to declare that they have accepted Christ. Billy Graham and his team have made their contribution towards filling the churches of Britain, which have long been almost empty. Close by Nelson's flagship Victory at Portsmouth, the royal yacht Britannia lies ready for a voyage to Tobruk. She will take the royal children to meet their mother and father. An electric train brings them on the first stage of the journey from London to the great dockyard. Crowds gather around the station for a glimpse of the four royal visitors, the Queen Mother, Princess Margaret, Prince Charles, and Princess Anne. The Lord Mayor of Portsmouth and the Commander-in-Chief of the port welcome them to the city. The prince wears a bright yellow carnation in the buttonhole of his powder blue coat. His sister is also in blue. Prince Charles, who quickly commented on the fact that the royal train appeared to have no driver, soon finds Portsmouth has plenty to intrigue a 6-year-old. Princess Anne sits on her grandmother's lap. Prince Charles sits in front of Princess Margaret. Past cheering crowds, the royal car comes to the gates of the dockyard. All warships in the port, including Victory, are dressed overall. Captain Dalgleish, the acting captain of the royal yacht, is among the officers to greet their guests at the foot of Britannia's gangway. The Queen Mother's standard is broken from the masthead. This is the first time any of the royal visitors have seen the splendid new yacht, which was named by the Queen herself. As for the children, well, it looks like Britannia's crew will have to answer an awful lot of questions before the 2,800-mile voyage to Tobruk has ended. Princess Anne, rather bewildered by all the excitement, steps onto the captain's toe. Now comes the last farewell. A kiss from their grandmother and aunt, a few words of good advice, and the royal children will soon be on their way to join their mother again. It has been nearly 5 months since the Queen was with her children, though she has kept close contact with them throughout her tour by radio telephone. The Queen Mother, who has helped look after them during that time, says au revoir until they meet again on May the 15th. Miss Catherine Peebles, the Prince's governess, stands close behind him, while Miss Helen Lightbody, the nurse, keeps an eye on the Princess. Swiftly the gangway is swung from the ship. The moment of departure is near. Prince Charles takes a headscarf from Miss Peebles to wave farewell as the royal yacht draws slowly away from the jetty. From below the bridge, a Scottish piper plays a salute. Away past Vanguard, Britain's largest warship, Britannia heads towards the open sea. Malta is her first port of call. After a week's stay, the yacht will set course for Tobruk. There, on May the 1st, Her Majesty the Queen and the Duke of Edinburgh will be reunited with their children. Then the royal family, together once more, will sail for Britain and home. Princess Margaret dons white overalls when she visits Calverton Colliery in Nottinghamshire. A visit to the coalface, a quarter of a mile underground, is included in her tour of the colliery, which is recognized as one of the most modern in Europe. Miner Douglas Pickering holds up the gate of the cage lift in which the princess and her party descend at about 40 miles an hour to the workings below. This is the first visit to a colliery Her Royal Highness has made. After almost an hour underground, the princess brings back a souvenir, a piece of coal she hewed herself. During her visit, Princess Margaret receives another memento, a silver replica of a miner's lamp. 25-year-old Roger Bannister, third from the left, gets away at the Iffley Ground, Oxford, for the race of his life. For years, he has dreamed of becoming the first man to run the mile in less than 4 minutes, and now, with Chris Brasher setting the pace in front, he's decided that this is the right moment. Bannister's old friend and rival, Chris Chataway, is in third place, waiting his time to take over as pacer. After 2.5 laps, Brasher gives way to Chataway. Bannister, a superb tactician, has suffered some criticism in the past for adopting his own rather unorthodox training methods, but they're paying dividends now. Despite the slight wind, he's clocking great time. Any moment now, and we'll see the famous Bannister burst. And here he comes. Bannister goes streaking forward with about 250 yards to the tapes. Just look at his action as his long legs carry him nearer that world record. And Bannister has done it. Though he's out on his feet, his coach and team manager tell him he's achieved his ambition. The mile in 3 minutes, 59.4 seconds. Through the grounds of Windsor Castle to the Chapel of St. George, Sir Winston Churchill walks in solemn procession. Within the chapel, the resting place of kings, this man of history is to be installed as a Knight of the Most Noble Order of the Garter by the Queen. There, too, in the procession are yeomen of the guard, 2 kings of arms, pursuivants and heralds, and the Knights' companions. For a moment, the pages of time are turned back 600 years. Among the Knights' companions who walk in escort are the Duke of Portland, Viscount Montgomery, Earl Alexander, and Lord Portal. Each wears the full regalia of the order with dark blue mantle hood and plumed hat. The Queen Mother, the only lady of the order present, walks with the Duke of Gloucester. With the Duke of Edinburgh, the Queen, as sovereign of the order, makes her way to the chapel. Earlier, Her Majesty had invested Sir Winston with his insignia. Now she is to present him with a jeweled garter of the order in a ceremony that dates back to the reign of Edward III. When the installation has ended, Sir Winston reappears at the doorway to the chapel. Few men in all the long history of the Garter can have laid claim so rightfully to this great honor. The Queen Mother and the Duke of Gloucester take their places on the chapel steps as the sovereign of the order prepares to leave after the first Garter service of her reign. Sir Winston Churchill, who in his time has helped shape the destinies of the Queen's people, joins the honored company of the sovereign's knights. It is perhaps his finest hour. While the whole world ponders the mighty power of the atom, Britain's scientists are probing its secrets to aid the peaceful pursuits of mankind. For the first time, our cameras are permitted to enter the guarded gates of 3 new factories: Windscale in Cumberland, Springfields near Preston, and Capenhurst in Cheshire. The scale of the work is indicated by the main electrical control room at Capenhurst. A brilliant engineer, Sir Christopher Hinton, is the managing director of the group. From the Belgian Congo, ore containing uranium reaches the Springfields factory. Only a tiny deposit of the precious mineral is gleaned from many barrels of the crude ore. To extract the uranium from the ore and purify it is the next task. This requires several complicated crushing and filtering processes. All workers wear special protective clothing against radioactivity, but if all precautions are taken, they actually run less risk than the normal factory hand. Part of the processing involves the heating of the uranium in huge furnaces. Once this has been done, the uranium is moved in heavy containers to be cooled. The container is guided to its resting place by one man using a push-button remote control panel. At Capenhurst, laboratory workers seek new, cheaper processes for extracting and purifying the uranium. The medical world is well served by the atom factories with isotopes, which fight disease. When the day's work is done, all the workers take further strict precautions against the effects of atomic radiations. Their heavy gauntlets are first to be discarded, after which all have to wash in very hot water. The changing rooms are divided into two areas by a bench. Having pulled their boots off, the men swing their legs over to the non-contact side. Then they're able to remove their overalls and have yet another wash. One final check is made on a radiation monitor, which works like a Geiger counter and detects any harmful contamination. Britain is making rapid progress in atomic work. At Windscale, a new milestone nears completion. It is the first atomic power station to be built anywhere in the world. Two and a half years ago, the Cutty Sark seemed doomed to die. But now, the Duke of Edinburgh, the patron of the Cutty Sark Preservation Society, arrives at Greenwich for a ceremony which ensures that the famous tea clipper will be preserved for many years to come. Close by Greenwich Pier, the Cutty Sark will end her days in a specially built dry berth. The Duke operates a valve which controls a pile driver. The last twin piles which form the key to the berth are thus driven home. The new berth is expected to be completed by the autumn. It's about 265 feet long and 60 feet wide. With a mallet made of the Cutty Sark's timbers, the Duke lays a stone commemorating his visit. The Cutty Sark is probably the most famous of the old clippers which brought tea from China to Britain. About a year ago, the Duke of Edinburgh formally received the ship, for which about £170,000 has been contributed. Now she is being prepared for her last short voyage to her permanent home.
Mr. Attlee and 7 other British Labour Party leaders are at London Airport before they set out on the journey which eventually will take them to communist China. Facing newsreel cameras, Mr. Attlee answers questions put to him by an American correspondent.
This trip to China represents an increase in British Labour friendship toward communist China and at the same time a lessening in British Labour friendship toward the United States. Is there anything in that?
I don't know. I think that's quite a complete mistake. Our friendship holds with the United States of America. And we're in favor of world peace. And the more contacts we can make, the better. And because we recognize a regime, doesn't say you approve everything that it does.
Stockholm is their first stop and on to Moscow. Dr. Summerskill and her husband say farewell. Others in the party are Mr. Morgan Phillips, Mr. Burke, Mr. Franklin, Mr. Earnshaw, Mr. Watson, and Mr. Narin Bevan. All have hopes of meeting Mr. Malenkov during their visit to Moscow. 7 of the party will journey from China to Japan, but Mr. Attlee will visit Australia and New Zealand before returning home via Canada.
The remains of a Roman temple have been uncovered near the Mansion House in the City of London. It is the only one ever found within the city. Mr. Grimes, on the left, has been in charge of the excavations. Measuring about 60 feet by 20, the temple includes a medieval structure, possibly a well or a chimney. A Roman well is nearby, but one of the greatest finds is a platform where an altar is thought to have stood. The temple is certain to have been for the worship of Mithras, the Persian god of light. This head of the god was found on the site. Although many relics will go into museums, the whole area is soon to be built over. A short reprieve has given archaeologists a few more days, but soon a block of offices will cover this glimpse of London's ancient past. The prototype Bristol Britannia is made ready at Filton for a 1,600-mile flight to Libya. Bristol's chief test pilot, Bill Pegg, will take the jet prop airliner to Castel Idris for preliminary hot weather trials. BOAC technical experts and Air Registration Board officials travel with Pegg, who last February, when piloting a Britannia, made a brilliant emergency landing in the mud of the Severn estuary without casualty. Britannia sets course from Bristol for its first ever overseas flight to Libya, only 4.5 flying hours away. The Bishop's Bridge Road School in Paddington makes a startling contrast to the grim barrack-like buildings most of us suffered when children. Contemporary in design, it provides every amenity for a child, whether at work or play. Big, easy-to-clean kitchens cope with dinners for about 700 children. The school, which cost about £120,000, was built in a year and a half. It was planned to give the pupils plenty of space, air and sunshine in the modern manner. The same idea is behind the new Kidbrooke School built by the LCC in East London. More than 1,500 girls can be seated in the vast assembly hall. Kidbrooke, which caters only for girls, is a comprehensive secondary school. On the curriculum is hat making, but don't get the impression this is just a school of hobbies. They've got 56 classrooms to cope with the other sort of lessons. On top of that, there are 5 gymnasia, a library, reading rooms, laboratories, housecraft flats, rooms for cookery and needlework. In fact, everything to equip a girl for the time when school days are over. Educationalists believe that with schools like this, the pupils will want to learn, and that, they say, is half the battle. The Sheffield schoolchildren form the word welcome across Hillsborough Football Ground as their own greeting to Her Majesty the Queen and Prince Philip, who are making a 2-day visit to the West Riding of Yorkshire. This mass display, attended by 43,000 boys and girls, takes place on the first day of the royal tour. Now intricate marching and counter-marching by the children who have been practicing the routine for many weeks. There's a special cheer from the crowd as 3,000 children form themselves into the pattern of a giant Union Jack. The Queen and Prince Philip board a Land Rover to drive around the huge arena so that all the children may have a closer view of them. Tumultuous reception given by the children of Sheffield to the Queen and her husband is perhaps the most memorable scene of the royal visit to Yorkshire. Queen Elizabeth, the Queen Mother, is greeted by Secretary of State Foster Dulles when she arrives in Washington. President Eisenhower had sent his personal plane Columbine to New York to fly Her Majesty to the American capital. Meanwhile, at the White House, the President and Mrs. Eisenhower wait to welcome the Queen Mother. It's wonderful to see you, says the President. Now America's First Lady greets the Queen Mother, who wears a blue coat and dress and a silver fox stole. The Vice President, Mr. Nixon, and his wife add their welcome to the Queen Mother, who is to spend a week in Washington. A freak tornado which ripped across the suburbs of West London leaves behind a trail of havoc reminiscent of the wartime blitzes. In the late afternoon, the tornado struck. Within seconds, its damage was done. Hurriedly, rescue teams went to work, but by a miracle, no one was killed. One of the first places in the whirlwind's path was Gunnersbury, where the roof was torn off the station. About 20 people were on the platform at the time, but only 8 received injury. The hardest hit area was Acton, where walls were ripped down by the whirling funnel of air. Brilliant flashes of lightning lit London as the freak storm carved its path of destruction. Dublin, too, has suffered grievous damage. The railway bridge was totally destroyed by the swollen waters of the River Tolka. The river, which is normally only inches deep, rose to 20 feet and broke its banks. A state of emergency has been declared for the city following flooding on a scale unknown in Dublin for about a century. Hundreds of families are evacuated from their flooded homes. Rowing boats manned by police and ambulance men keep up a shuttle service to clear the stricken areas. Latest news from Dublin tells how squads have blown up the remains of the smashed railway bridge in an effort to save nearby houses from complete destruction.
Pathe News aimed to keep its audience well informed, both about world politics, home news, and the emergence of new technologies. But its programs were always spiced with lighter items, stories of sporting achievement, the lives of film stars, and the ever-changing world of fashion.
45-year-old Porfirio Rubirosa, on the right, playboy and diplomat from the Dominican Republic, enters the Hotel Pier in New York to marry Barbara Hutton. This is Rubirosa's fourth marriage and Miss Hutton's fifth. Heiress to the Woolworth fortune, Miss Hutton is believed to have about £16 million tucked away in the bank. Performing the ceremony is the Dominican Consul General. The 10-minute ceremony ends and the bride is confused for a moment about which of her 4 surnames she should use on the register. Finally, she settles for Trubetskoy, her last husband's name. Even though the wedding is alleged to have caused a black eye for a certain Miss Gabor, the new Mrs. Rubirosa seems perfectly happy and says, this time it's for keeps. Top-flight Paris designer Jacques Fatt lets Pathe News into the secrets of his spring and summer collections. Built-in corsets are the most exciting trick in his bag. To achieve a wasp waist, just lock yourself up in one of them and you'll achieve the right shape in the sunny months to come. The frills seem almost old-fashioned compared with his new rose-colored nylons with polka dots. Lace-topped stockings are among the new ideas. Shades of the can-can. Looking ahead to the summer holidays, take one short smock, put a handful of haystack on your head, and you'll be the belle of the beach. Think it's daft? Well, take a look at this. Although they may look like near relatives of the Dracula family, these young ladies are the very height of fashion. True, they mightn't be quite at home in Leamington Spa, but down on the Riviera, they're the tops. Taking over where Miss Bartok left off, here's the craziest titfer of them all. A summer style, they call this, but why not add windscreen wipers? It'd do for all the year round. For the 100th time, the dark blues meet the light blues for their traditional annual boat race. At Putney, Oxford, who won the toss, take the Surrey side nearest the camera. A wise move, for it promises to be pretty choppy out in the middle. Mr. Attlee is in the crowd who watched them get away on their 4.5-mile journey to Mortlake. Both eights forget their nerves and settle down quickly. Oxford are soon just a fraction in front, striking at about 38 a minute to their rivals' 36. Race number 100 is obviously something rather special, so both crews are determined on a superhuman effort today. Not that there'll be any records broken, the water's far too rough for that. The dark blues, superbly coxed by W.R. Marsh, pull steadily away. They're the lighter crew of the two, but rumor has it that they've reached their absolute peak at exactly the right moment. Certainly, they seem to be showing the better style already. Cambridge, stroked by M.J. Marshall and coxed by J. Tanburn, are still striking slightly slower than the Oxford crew. Hammersmith Bridge is ahead. Oxford are about a quarter of a length in front now. Owing to the cost of holding the boat race, there has been a threat that this will be the last one on the Thames. But you can bet Londoners won't take such a decision lying down. They won't let an event like this move away from their doorstep without a struggle. Along by Chiswick Steps, conditions worsen. Oxford are still going well, holding their lead from the light blues. Cambridge are shipping a bit of water, and they're about 4.5 lengths behind at Barnes Bridge. Harrison the stroke calls to the dark blues for an extra effort as they near the finish at Chiswick Bridge. Cambridge whip up their stroke to 35, but they won't catch their rivals now. Oxford, still 4.5 lengths ahead, come racing up to the line. Superb coxing by Marsh, who outmaneuvered his rivals all the way, plus perfect teamwork by the whole 8, adds up to a win for Oxford. In they come, rowing easily and still looking fresh enough for a couple of miles more. For the 45th time, the victory goes to Oxford. Half a million people crowd Epsom, for once again the calendar says it's Derby Day. Hundreds of cars, coaches and trains have brought racegoers to the world's most famous classic. But before we watch our hopes go the old way home, let's see what else Epsom has to offer.
On the Derby, 92 Darius, 92 to view.
And to complete the traditional Derby scene, Her Majesty the Queen is here. Lord Rosebery accompanies her towards the paddock. Also in the royal party are the Queen Mother, Princess Margaret, the Princess Royal, the Duchess of Kent and the Duchess of Gloucester. There's been a last-minute rush to back Blue Sail, American Johnny Longdon's mount. Naturally enough, royal attention focuses on Her Majesty's own colt, Landau. Billy Snaith is the jockey who replaces Sir Gordon Richards. Princess Alexandra watches the riders come out. Derby Day this year is on the first anniversary of the Queen's coronation. The Queen, whose horse was second last year, stands a good chance of victory this time. Never Say Die and Arabian Night join the procession for the parade. There goes Landau, looking every inch a champion. Roaston Manor, number 7, has Doug Smith in the saddle. Number 8 is Blue Sail. Johnny Longdon rides American style, plus goggles. The clock's moving round to 3:30. Won't be long now. Up at the tapes, the field of 22 get into line. Never Say Die seems unsettled. And away they go. Moonlight Express, Landau and Blue Sail jump into the lead right away as they head uphill towards the bushes. They're setting a cracking pace already. Moonlight Express and Landau are holding their lead. Lester Piggott keeps Never Say Die on the outside, well behind the leaders. At the top of the hill, Lavengro is up with Moonlight Express, Rouston Manor, Blue Sail and Darius. Landau seems to be dropping back for the moment, but Ferriol, a French horse, is gaining steadily. Sweeping downhill towards Tattenham Corner, Rouston Manor, Ferriol and the outsider Alpenhorn are making the running. Arabian Night is going well, but he's biding his time. Into Tattenham Corner and Rouston Manor, Blue Sail, Darius and Never Say Die are all there. 4 furlongs to go. They'll be making their challenges soon. Darius and Landau are in the lead, but now Piggott begins his run on Never Say Die. Here he comes, moving up with every stride. Darius and Landau fighting it out with him, but Never Say Die is in front now. Darius is second, and Arabian Night is up there to challenge. Lester Piggott shows his mount the whip, about 2 furlongs to the post. It's still Never Say Die with Darius second, but Arabian Night is moving up fast on the outside. Tommy Gosling brings him closer. It's going to be a terrific battle for second place. It's Never Say Die's victory, all right, and Arabian Night is second, by little more than a nose from Darius. A surprise result. Too bad it wasn't a royal victory this time, but what a brilliant win for a great-hearted colt, and what a superb ride by young Piggott, the 18-year-old boy wonder of the turf. Mr. Sterling Clark, the American owner of Never Say Die, wins nearly £17,000 and the greatest honor in world racing.
the great sports stadium in Vancouver, where the British Empire Games are being held, the field gets away for the 880 yards final. 3 British boys, Derek Johnson, Brian Hewson, and Ian Boyd, are all well up right away, but Ferguson, a Canadian, gives the crowd a moment's thrill as he moves up. But the Englishmen have yet to challenge. Johnson moves into second place. Boyd and Hewson keep close behind, and 200 yards from home, Johnson's in the lead. Hewson's not far away, and Boyd's in third place. And Johnson, 4 yards ahead of Hewson, breaks the tape. Johnson's time of 1 minute 50.7 seconds sets a new Empire Games record and wins yet another gold medal for England. But the men haven't the games all their own way. In the ladies' high jump, Thelma Hopkins from Northern Ireland jumps to glory by clearing 5 feet 6 inches and smashes the previous record. In the men's 3-mile race, attention focuses on England's Chris Chataway and Freddie Green, the man who beat him by an inch when they both cracked the 3-mile world record recently. Chataway keeps right at the back for the first lap. 2 other English aces, Frank Sander and Peter Driver, move into the leading bunch. Mayoro, the barefoot Kenyan, is there, so are Green and Chataway. A sudden burst takes Chataway into the lead. Green is after him. Third and fourth are Sando and Mayoro. Chataway pulls further away from them all as he races for the tapes. A 15-yard win for the 23-year-old redhead. Green is 2 seconds behind him, with Sando third. Chataway, whose time of 13 minutes, 35.2 seconds, sets a new games record, shakes with his rival, Freddie Green. Chris Chataway's magnificent performance sends another gold medal home to England. Some weeks ago, Sir Gordon Richards left hospital where he had been confined to bed following his accident at Sandown Park. We now know that this accident ended his riding career sooner than he had planned. 26 times champion jockey, it seemed that the Derby would never be among his victories. Then in coronation year, he rode Pinzer. What a race it was. Gordon kept his mount back until soon after Tattenham Corner. Only Shikhampur was between him and his first ever Derby win, but Pinzer never faltered. And then to complete this perfect day, Sir Gordon was received in the royal box. It seemed fitting in coronation year that if the Queen herself could not be the winning owner, then Gordon should be the winning jockey. Later, at Buckingham Palace, came the climax to his career, a knighthood. A fitting tribute, not only to the skill that had made him the greatest jockey of all time, but to the sportsmanship that he had shown during his 34 years of riding.
From many parts of the globe, leading hairstylists come to the Royal Pavilion at Brighton to compete in the World Championship hairdressing competitions. Britain is represented, and so are Austria, Belgium, Germany, France, Sweden, Norway, and Denmark. All the competitors remain anonymous for the time being, so that the judges won't be influenced in a sudden flush of patriotism. The competition, which is run entirely as a team event, has been held for 4 years, and every time France has been the winner. Now some of the finished results, all completed in under 1 hour. And even if we short back and sides merchants can't appreciate all the finer points, we can admire the artistry and skill needed to create a coiffure so graceful and delicate as this. The Tivoli Theatre in the Strand is the scene of a Royal Gala film premiere. The Earl and Countess of Harwood attend the opening of this year's Italian Film Festival. Yes, Janet Scott, one of the British stars present. Eleonora Rossi Drago, the Italian film actress. And Gina Lollobrigida, perhaps the most famous of the visiting stars. All the artists will be seen in the films chosen for the festival. A star who is appearing in many British films, lovely Nadia Gray. And now the most honored guest arrives, Her Majesty the Queen, radiant in a full-skirted evening dress of pale pink organza. 3-year-old Jeanne Vaillard presents a bouquet. Jeanne is the daughter of an Italian film chief. Little Maria Luisa Forte has a bouquet for Princess Margaret. Princess Margaret wears a single-strap gown of Cambridge blue. The Queen waits to receive the Italian stars who cross the flower-decked foyer to make their curtsies before her. This is Maria Fiore. Signor Borosio, the Italian ambassador, introduces the stars to Her Majesty. Each receives a handshake and a warm smile. but there is no conversation, for none of the visitors can speak English. Irene is greeted by Her Majesty, who meets next Gina Lollobrigida. The star's dress is of white slipper satin edged with black velvet. About 30 personalities from the Italian film industry are presented to the Queen, including producers and directors who, since the war, have made some of the world's finest films. Her Majesty the Queen moves towards the auditorium for the premiere showing of a lavish new Italian musical. The first night of the Italian Film Festival provides one of the most glamorous royal occasions of the year. At the Royal Festival Hall in London, a Christmas gala concert is held with an all-star bill headed by the one and only Gracie Fields. Gracie, like all the artists in the show, is giving her services for nothing, for all the audience consists entirely of old folk from Lambeth. About 3,000 of them are brought by coach to the festival hall, which stands within the borough of Lambeth. Although not from Lambeth, some of the most welcome guests are pensioners from the Royal Hospital in Chelsea. They enter the hall for the show, which lasts about 2.5 hours. A great ovation from the packed house greets Gracie Fields. The Christmas concert was made possible by the generosity of many people. Charlie Chaplin, who was born in Lambeth, recently gave £2,000 to the borough, and part of this was used to stage the performance. Gracie, who sings to the old people for about half an hour, is, as always, the hit of the show. And now, a Christmas carol to end the concert. Gracie leads the audience in "O Come All Ye Faithful."
Come all ye faithful, joyful and triumphant. Oh, come ye to
"1954 was a year in which the colonial regimes of the world started to crumble, a year in which the memories of the Second World War began to fade, and the perils of the nuclear age became the focus of world attention. 1954, a year to remember.